Welcome to another episode of Historical Markers. This week we happen to be in Jackson County, Alabama. Why Alabama? Well, my wife's doing a craft retreat here this week, and so I'm going around this county and looking up the historical markers. So join us as we explore Jackson County. And this marker in Stevenson is called Averyville. During the Reconstruction period following the Civil War, a freedmen's community was established in this area called Averyville, named for the Pennsylvania minister and successful businessman Charles Avery, a longtime and faithful champion of Negro education. Wilmer Walton, a Quaker missionary, moved to Stevenson and Averyville as early as 1865, opening a school financed by Quaker Friends Association for Aid and Elevation of the Freedmen. Soon, some 75 students, both adults and children, were enrolled in Walton's school. Another teacher and Quaker missionary, Henrietta Starkweather, succeeded Wilmer Walton at Averyville. This noble and pioneering effort to educate freedmen was short-lived. Ku Klux Klan violence, threats, and intimidation drove the teachers away by the early 1870s, and the school closed. Averyville School's most notable student was William Hooper Council from 1848 to 1909, a former slave brought to Alabama in 1857. He attended Averyville School as a freedman, becoming a teacher himself by the end of his third year here. He moved to Huntsville in 1869 and opened the Lincoln Normal School to train black teachers. In 1873, Dr. Council founded Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University using funds appropriated by the Alabama legislature to train black teachers. Dr. Council rose to state and national prominence, becoming an influential leader alongside Booker T. Washington and others. His only formal education was here at Freedman School of Averyville. Here the seeds of learning were planted which grew into Alabama A&M University, educating thousands of students to this day. This is for Bennett's Cove cabin. This cabin was originally constructed over 100 years ago, approximately 10 miles west of this site in Bennett's Cove. It was given to the Stevenson Community Park by Mary and Walker Leland Jordan. The cabin was moved to this site and restored by A. Catherine Armstrong in commemoration of the American Revolution bicentennial, 1776 to 1976. And then there's the cabin. This marker is for Crowtown, one of the 5 lower towns established by the Chickamauga Cherokees in 1782 under the leadership of Dragging Canoe. Territorial Governor William Blount reported to the Secretary of War in 1792 that Crowtown lies on the north side of the Tennessee River, half a mile from the river, up Crow Creek, 30 miles below the Suck. It is the lowest town in the Cherokee Nation and contained 30 huts in 1790. The Creeks and northward tribes crossed the river here. All of the 5 lower towns were on the extreme Cherokee frontier. Running Water was near Chattanooga, and Nickajack was near Helltown, Tennessee. Long Island Town was 20 miles below Suck, east of Bridgeport, Alabama. Lookout Mountain Town was near Trenton, Georgia. Crowtown encompassed an area of several miles by the early 1800s, as increasing numbers of Cherokee families settled here with the creation of Jackson County in 1819. Many of the Cherokees moved to the south side of the river. Some 19th century maps place Crowtown near the southeast end of Snodgrass Bridge, which takes Highway 117 across the Tennessee River east of Stevenson. In 1782, site of Crowtown, 1/2 mile from the confluence of the Crow Creek to the original channel of the Tennessee River, was flooded with the closing of the spillway gates at Guntersville Dam in 1939. This is the Flight 800 Memorial. Early on the morning of Wednesday, July 17, 1996, hearts and minds overflowing with excitement for the journey, 5 of our friends, neighbors, and kinfolk left Stevenson, Alabama, bound for Paris, France. That evening at sunset, TWI Flight 800 fell with them into the Atlantic Ocean, just off the south coast of Long Island, New York. All 230 souls aboard perished. The tragedy touched towns and cities large and small throughout America and around the world, but save for Montoursville, Pennsylvania, and its 21 students and teachers, Stevenson lost more than any other place. And then here are the names of the people that were on the flight. We have Tom Weatherby, Brenda Privet, Mike Scott, Barbara Scott, and Joe Scott. This marker is for Fort Harker. Constructed by the Union Army in the summer of 1862 and expanded in 1864 using soldiers and freed slaves, Fort Harker was built on the broad hill a quarter-mile east of town. It overlooked Crow Creek and was well within firing range of Stevenson's strategic railroad lines, supply depots, and warehouses. Fort Harker is an earthen redoubt 150 feet square, with walls 14 feet high, surrounded by an 8-foot deep, dry moat. It contains 7 cannon platforms, a bomb-proof powder magazine, a drawbridge entrance, and an 8-sided wooden blockhouse at its center. Soldiers rebuilding the fort reported that the soil is very hard, requiring continual use of the pick. Despite that, Fort Harker was critical to Union plans. The officer in charge was ordered by his commanding general to work night and day to complete the fort as rapidly as possible. One other large fort, 2 smaller redoubts, and at least 7 blockhouses were constructed along the railroad lines at Stevenson during the Civil War. No major fighting occurred here, but skirmishes and sniper attacks were common as territory traded hands between Union and Confederate forces. And then you can see the 14-foot earthen wall. And as we walk along, we can actually see an entrance to it. Might be where the drawbridge was. Let's walk up into the walls on the inside and see what they look like. And here at the top is where it overlooks the river. This marker is for the Stevenson Depot and Hotel. A one-story depot building was constructed here in 1853 when the railroad was first laid through Stevenson. That building burned after the Civil War and was replaced by the present brick depot and hotel in 1872. During the Civil War, Stevenson was a hub of activity. Union and Confederate troops skirmished here, and the town changed hands more than once through though Stevenson mostly lay under Union control. Troops occupied the town, and a large refugee camp sprang up between the depot and Fort Harker, a quarter-mile east. Tens of thousands of soldiers, horses, wagons, prisoners of war, refugees, wounded men, and others passed through Stevenson during the late summer and fall of 1863, before, during, and after the battles of Chattanooga and Chickamauga. Harper's Weekly, an influential newspaper of the time, noting the juncture of the east, west, and north-south rail lines here, called Stevenson one of the 7 most important cities in the South. After the war, the depot and hotel continued as the center of life in Stevenson. Trains stopped here at meal times, and passengers ate in the hotel dining rooms. Other passengers spent the night here, and the hotel is so close to the tracks that it was said the trains opened the hotel windows and pulled the covers off the beds. Generations recalled final passenger departures and arrivals here, often sad and poignant, especially during war times. A group of citizens saved the depot from destruction during the bicentennial of 1976, when the last railroad office closed. The depot was renovated for use as a community museum, which opened in June of 1982. So then if we walk over here, we can see a couple of train cars, as well as the reserve depot. And I'm assuming that is the hotel. And this marker is for the Union Army headquarters. Stevenson was a major supply station and staging ground for decisive campaigns and battles of the Civil War. This small house, called the Little Brick, was alive with activity when General William S. Rosecrans relocated his command here in August of 1863. Over the next 3 weeks, an air of urgency surrounded Stevenson and this house as Rosecrans planned the Union attack on Confederate General Bragg at Chattanooga. While headquartered at the Little Brick, Rosecrans and his staff planned the Federal Army's pontoon bridge crossing the Tennessee River, telegraphed requests for additional locomotives, dispatched reconnaissance missions, ordered shipments of food, mules, weapons, and other supplies, and attended to many other plans for attack. Rosecrans was joined here by, among others, General James A. Garfield and General Ulysses S. Grant, both future presidents of the United States. General William T. Sherman is also known to have been nearby and may have visited here too. After the war ended, the Little Brick returned to a quieter, more respected role in Stevenson's life, becoming a favorite abode of newlyweds even to the mid-20th century. I'm assuming this is probably where the Little Brick house was located, and it appears it is no longer here. You can see some bricks in there, though. Okay, here we have the marker for Wet, Wild, and Wonderful. Talks about Alabama's waterfowl, the geese, the dabbling ducks, the diving ducks, and the mergansers. And then the building of the historic Fort Harker. So if you want to pause and read more information about any of those. And then next to it, we have Mud, Glorious Mud. And this one is talking about birds come from all directions to enjoy the tasty treats hidden beneath the mud. And then talks about the changing water levels. And then it talks about the wading birds, the sandpipers, the plovers, and the gulls. Here's a marker commemorating the Trenton Presbyterian Church. It was a vital part of pioneer Presbyterian witness in Paint Rock Valley. It was organized October 9th, 1903. O blessed communion, fellowship divine, we feebly struggle, thy in glory shine, yet all are one in thee, and all are thine. Alleluia, alleluia, amen. The closing service was October 21st, 2008. Here's the marker for Cathedral Caverns. It has been designated a registered natural landmark under the provision of the Historic Sites Act of August 21st, 1935. This site possesses exceptional value in illustrating the natural history of the United States. And then over here, here's a cutaway of the mountain and what happens inside this cave. Okay, near Woodville, Alabama. Apparently this is the marker I'm looking for Decatur County. And as you can see, it appears to be demolished and the marker itself is gone. This marker is for the Paint Rock Valley High School. In 1931, at the height of the Great Depression, Paint Rock Valley citizens raised $2,625 to begin construction of a new school building. Residents gathered native field stones for the facade, which was 18 inches thick when completed. Local sawmills planed the lumber from trees donated by the community. Laborers and the Work Progress Administration completed the construction. The school opened for the fall of 1935 term though portions of the building were incomplete. The Alabama Power Company electrified the school in 1935 and dazzled the community with a lighted outdoor tree. The first senior class of 7 graduated in 1938. The school board closed Paint Rock Valley High School in 2018, citing a declining population, limited school student opportunities, and the expense of needed repairs. At the time, there were 74 students enrolled in grades K through 12, including 5 seniors in the final graduating class. The school counts among its most famous alumni Robert Thrower, who was the most valuable player of the 1949 state basketball tournament, and Claude Curley Putman, the country music singer-songwriter who penned The Green, Green Grass of Home. The enduring craftsmanship of the school is a testament to the determination of the Valley citizens to provide their children with a quality local high school education. Well, that was Jackson County, Alabama. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We learned a lot of information, a lot of Civil War stuff happening in this area. And so, if you're ever in the area, look up some of these markers and see what you can see.